Okay then everybody, let's talk about this US men's national team. They put up an impressive performance against Ecuador, getting that 1-1 draw. Before we actually talk about the performance, let's talk about what Pochettino has been posting on Instagram. He posted a quote on his story talking about the culture within this US men's national team. He tagged them and it said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." No matter how good your strategy is, if you don't have that team culture, your strategy will ultimately fail. JD, what do you think of what Poch has posted on his story?
I'm a bit worried if my first team manager is putting on his story the words toxic strategy, collective behaviours, attitude, beliefs. It doesn't matter if you breeze through it or you really try to look into it. It's a concern. I'm going to tell you why it's a concern, because I feel like a lot of your drama is being played out in the public eye. And you see how I've disassociated myself from the men's US national team? Because you know me, I've been on this bandwagon, right? I've been telling you Captain America's going to lead you for the next 12 months. And, you know, the coach is there. You have a world-class coach. You have the young players that are hungry, that are proving themselves in Europe and really can showcase what they can do on the world scene. But what are we doing here? Is this an episode of The Young and the Restless? Why are we continuing on showcasing in the public eye consistently things that should be happening behind closed doors? I don't really understand as to what he felt like he was going to get out of that, especially after what I deemed as a positive break. I mean, look, the Ecuador result is one thing, the Japan result has building blocks, all of it seems to be going in the right sort of direction, depending on how you look at the totality of the picture. But then again, I feel like we've gone 3 steps back, because now we're talking about the dramas off the field rather than the positive result on the field once again.
That's interesting. I didn't read it that way, and maybe I read it more
the Americans see it differently.
in older person using social media, like somebody was like, "Wow, he tagged the U.S. account." I was like, I think he just did that because he feels like everything he puts up, he'll tag. That to me was clearly the whiteboard in the locker room before the game, and this was the message that was being preached to the squad. And I think it reinforces, or his idea was to reinforce that positive energy. And hey, this is what we're building around. This is our centerpiece. I can agree with you. The manager does not need to be on social media. Don't do that.
Tommy B, let's just be real. What did you just say? The stuff that was posted on the locker room, inside of the locker room, right?
Yeah.
So where's that supposed to stay?
I completely agree with that, but this isn't.
Why is that on social media?
So, in his defense, they do a lot of behind-the-scenes content. They always have cameras around, and they're always releasing a lot of things from within the locker room, from within on the training ground, going public. So this isn't that different than, like, this is going to be shown when they do the Behind the Crest or whatever their video series is called. We can get into more if that makes a lot of sense for a national team, for a top-level team, because generally I would like less access if I was the manager, if I was in that locker room. But it's already getting out there, and maybe it feels a little clunky. Like, I don't see much in this.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I can see your concern, but let's get some context into why that's posted there. Going back to where he picked up this national team, there was a big culture concern. We're talking about this group that lacked commitment, desire, and the biggest word, the other C word, I can't say the one I'm thinking of, but it's complacency, right? There was a sense of complacency.
Hovering over the bleep button there.
I said character complacency, right? No, but there was a sense of complacency within this group, so I'm glad he posted it, but I'm with you. I want to see less the talking off the pitch and more the talking on the pitch, and I thought we saw that for 90 minutes there.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about how this squad would line up, and here's what Mauricio Pochettino had to say about his formation.
I think the important thing is the characteristics of the player, that you can do different combination and you can animate in an offensive way, in a different or have different plans or strategies. I think if you were seeing the game, I think we defend with back four, 2 midfielder and 3 and 1, and of course the keeper, 1-4-2-3-1. But in our formation, building from back, we build with 3, 2, and then 5. I think depend all this strategy that we want to build. I think the flexibility that we can provide to the team is about also the profile that the players that are going to be in the starting 11.
Lahoud, is this starting 11 that we saw playing against Ecuador showing that he's still trying to figure out the best squad, and how do you think it's going to change against Australia?
I think this is the first time I've seen the starting 11 that I believe in. And I think U.S. men's national team fans should start believing, because after the match, Michel Pochettino said this in addition to his amazing Instagram post. He said, "I'm so happy that we don't talk about other things like commitment, attitude, or other things like this that normally in the past we have been." I think that is a massive step forward. This is a group, the current group of the U.S. men's national team. When I look at this, you now have a certified goal scorer in Flo Balogun. This is his number 9 position. To lose, I don't see that changing. But in the midfield, that's where I'm most intrigued. And I think that's where we saw the biggest step up. And Tom Bogert, I know you agree with this with some of the players that we see. That midfield two of Aiden Morris, Tanner Tessman, I think they set the tone. But Malik Tillman and Flo Balogun, seeing the chemistry between those two, that was outstanding to watch, and a bit more like what we're used to with the U.S. men's national team, that we didn't see Anthony Jedi Robinson. We didn't see Christian Pulisic to start the match. And we saw more quality in the final third. We saw more quality in midfield, but we saw them not back down from an Ecuadorian side that usually bully teams. And they didn't have Moises Caicedo, but they still had a large part of their team that on a different day, previous camp, they would have bullied this U.S. men's national team.
I thought the performance was good. I really like the structure out of the back three. I'm glad that we are seeing that. I hope that this is going to be the answer long term, and we can get more nuances in the performances therein as we move forward. So the best parts about this is it puts the large majority of the individuals in their best positions to succeed, both positionally and structurally. The wingbacks are wingbacks, they're not fullbacks. So that solves that. The center backs, you might worry about the spacing and everything else. Well, a third one makes Tim Ream have to cover less space, and it provides a structure going forward where both wingbacks can go. Christian Pulisic gets to play in a 10-ish type role. Malik Tillman gets to play in a 10-ish type role. Both of these players are at their best in that kind of system. And with Tyler Adams, when he comes back, because he's out of this camp as his family's welcoming another child, he's somebody that, yes, you can be overrun in midfield with just a double pivot. Well, Tyler Adams can kind of solve that on his own, because his range is his world-class ability. So all of this, like, the only player that really doesn't totally fit in this system is Anthony Robinson and Weston McKennie, really. But I think that both of those players are good enough to make a strong impact, and this is for the greater good of the squad. So I think everything that we talk about moving forward comes from this structure. And for the first time, I saw some identity over a couple games from Mauricio Pochettino team over this first year and change.
Yeah, I think you mean Miles Robinson, right?
No, I'm saying Jedi Robinson is not a perfect fit at left wing back.
You don't think so?
Wow.
In that position, he's a straight line runner. He's best in a back four.
No, I actually think he's better in a 5.
What Pochettino wants for those wing backs is what Max Robson and Tim Weah do. Face up a defender and can cut him and go either way. Anthony Robinson is more of a straight line runner. He's very, very good at a left back. I prefer him in a back 4 than a back 3.
I actually disagree, only because I think when you add Jedi or Anthony Robinson in that wing-back position, for the first time, it gives you absolute width in the pitch. You have someone who I think wants to directly say, I'm going to attack just down the outside. And for me, I think as a wing-back, I don't necessarily want my wing-back always coming inside, especially when you're talking about those creative players, whether you put Aronson, Pulisic or Tillman in there, you're killing their space by automatically saying, I want to come inside, because those players need space to be able to create. They need space to create, whether it's Balogun or whoever else it is that's going to be leading your line. You want space for your number 10, because your number 10 is really going to be the difference makers in terms of how far the USA go in this tournament. I know we put a lot of attention on Captain Pulisic, as I call him, or Captain America, but at the same time, it's going to require a squad of players in that creative position that's going to turn around and say, okay, I can change this game, I can leave my individual impact. But what you did say there in terms of Tyler Adams' return is going to be everything. In terms of, especially in that pivot position, because he's going to be able to cover so much ground. I call him the modern day Lahoud, right? In terms of being able to turn around and cover as much ground as possible, but almost looks like you have an extra player in that midfield, and you can play with the two because of the sheer fact of his work rate is beyond anything you could possibly even imagine, because of the amount of ground that he covers in a game. But decisively, it's going to come down to whether or not you can actually get your best 11 out there. I still don't feel like in this time we've seen Pochettino put his best 11 out for a game and say, go out and showcase, you're my starting 11. We're still confused.
Yeah, there's two things that I think it's going to be something we're going to get answers for in this match against Australia and future camps. Who is going to be that missing center back, right? We saw in that graphic there, Tim Ream One of the benefits you get in playing a back three, you protect Tim Ream. That's one of the better performances I've seen Tim Ream have under Mauricio Pochettino. And Tim Ream is the leader of the back line. He's captained the team 15 times. 24 of his caps have come in terms of being a captain, 15 of his 24 have come under Mauricio Pochettino. Who's going to be that missing center back? And then in midfield, is it Tanner Tessman or Aiden Morris? Who do you have?
I think in this system, it makes more sense for Aiden Morris.
And you?
Tanner Tessman. Come on, no.
Both are very good, but I think that they're both very good options, and I'm good either way. And we haven't talked about Johnny Cardoso, who hasn't put really any decent performances with the national team, but I think this is going to be a huge, huge talking point moving forward.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the starting 11 looks like when US men's national team play against Australia in their friendly, which is tomorrow.